Welcome to your new SideQuest podcast with the intention of helping you through the game of life with mindful reframing and awareness as we all move through this journey called the human experience. It's time to level up. Hello everyone, and welcome to your new SideQuest. I want to steal your life. This is Derek.
And this is Zach.
Today we are talking about comparison, the ultimate thief of joy. This title was actually inspired by a similar text that Zach sent me.
Oh, what text?
Okay, hold up. I'll pull it right up.
Yeah, let me see this. So you're like, LOL, that's my life right now. And I'm like, can I steal your life? LOL.
And what I said was, bruh, get your own life.
Yeah, so let's elaborate on that conversation. Basically, what me and Derek were talking about was kind of like how his day went. He usually shoots weddings. So in my perspective, I thought that Derek has a pretty chill lifestyle, like very cruise, films a wedding, and then he goes to foodie events and films food videos, comes home, just relaxes, edits videos, and that's the day of his life, and super easy. And so I sent that text because I want that similar lifestyle. I want to live off just on making videos and filming and shooting. So what was actually the reality?
So yeah, a lot of people only see kind of like the highlights of my life, right? The things I put on Instagram, social media, and the reality of my actual life is actually quite different. You see, filming weddings are really are a really physically demanding type of work,
Yeah, it's no joke.
and no one really like sees it because the actuality of it is that we're carrying a lot of equipment, we're running around, standing on our feet like 8 hours
Yeah,
a
breaking
day,
your back too.
literally like breaking your back because you're carrying a lot of shit, right? You're like setting stuff up, breaking down, setting up, breaking down, getting the shots. You're like kneeling, you're standing. It's exhausting. It's a physically exhausting type of work. So because of that, I don't take a lot of those jobs, even though they are my main source of income. I try to spread it out because of how physically demanding it is. So like the next day I would need a full day of just doing nothing, and napping and resting and recovering. Sometimes it takes 2 days
Yeah, I can see that.
for an 8 hour day. And funny enough, Zach had just a little taste of
Yeah.
what that felt like.
I was a second shooter at a wedding that we filmed pretty recently, this month too. Derek's usually a lead shooter, but I was just an assistant.
So explain, Zach, how did you feel the next day?
Oh, I was like, I don't want your life anymore.
Like describe to me like what was sore, like what hurt.
Oh, everything. Everything was sore, like back, legs, arms too, because you're going around, you're carrying like cameras on tripods, and these could be like about like, a couple pounds each, but over time, it really starts to become a workout. Not only that, I mean, the weddings sometimes are actually very stressful too. Like you have to be very aware and like actually like know like the different situations in a very fast pace and high pressure situation.
So yeah, it's not only physically demanding, it's mentally draining because
Yeah.
you have to be there on the right place and the right time, and if you miss it, you miss the moment. Like you have to move on, but you have to kind of be one step ahead of the game of every situation. So you're not only moving your body, you're like
Moving your mind.
moving
too.
your mind. You're like
Jeez.
processing every single step in preparation of a moment that you need to be captured.
Yeah, it's not easy. There's a quote that I want to mention. Everybody wants your spot until they realize what it takes to play your position.
Yeah, so let's explore more about that. as humans, we are hardwired to compare ourselves to others. And perhaps it was some kind of survival mechanism back in the day when we were, in our caveman days. It is especially prevalent nowadays because of social media, where we constantly are comparing our lives to others, people's highlight reels online.
Yeah, and humans are wired that way because we just want things that we can't have. Like sometimes I think that sometimes I want a relationship just because I don't know, maybe a relationship is more fun. The grass could be greener on the other side, but that may not always be the case. Like off the record, me and Derek were talking about another friend who really likes another person because they just it's just not the right timing. So it's kind of like, oh, you want what you can't have kind of thing.
Also, too, like when you think about it, relationships take a lot of work. You don't really see what goes behind everybody's relationship, right?
Yeah.
They could look really, really happy in the surface level, but realistically, they could be fighting, they could be arguing, they could just be having a lot of issues and problems. And at one point, I experienced that situation where my ex partner's friends or my ex partner's coworkers were saying that, wow, you guys must be happy, you guys look happy together. And she spotted us in the car, driving home. She was like, oh, you guys look so cute together, you guys must be really happy. But my ex was like, at the time we were actually arguing in the car. So you don't actually know.
You're talking about who's gonna be washing the dishes tonight.
Yeah, or yeah, like we were having some type of argument, and that really like showed that evidence that like people don't actually know what's going on behind the scenes.
Yeah, and let's kind of dive deeper into where this hardwiring stems from.
So I think back, it was probably in episode 2, right? We were talking
Yeah.
about how we grew up, and
This kind of idea of comparison.
yeah, we were, coming from a Asian family.
Yeah.
We are always compared to by other family members.
Right. In episode 2, I mentioned how I was being compared by my cousins growing up. But actually, when I stepped back and really thought about it, I think that I was actually comparing myself to my cousins instead because I saw the lifestyle they were living. I saw how wealthy they were living in their nice houses, and it made me want to live up to that because, maybe like their cousins had a life that I wanted to live, but I didn't realize that maybe in reality, my aunties and uncles worked really hard to get the houses that they live in right now. Like I was actually envious of the lifestyle that my cousins had, like them living in nicer houses, having a lot of cousins to play. Like in my immediate family, I only had my younger brother, and it seemed like my aunties and uncles were educated and well off, which gave them their lifestyle. So I didn't realize how hard my aunties and uncles had to work as immigrants to live in their nice homes. How much maybe drama goes on with my other cousins, and maybe even like my aunties and uncles' expectations on my cousins. Like at one point, I was like, "Oh, my cousins are getting good grades. They're becoming really successful." But I didn't know until like a recent conversation with my cousin that like or she grew up with I guess a quote unquote tiger mom, and in like Asian communities, that's when like the mom is really really like, you know,
Like C's or F's.
yeah, yeah,
basically.
C's or F's, yeah, yeah, A's or F's, like all or nothing.
All right.
Yeah,
You need the A plus, or
yeah.
you're a failure.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so the higher expectation comes with like educated parents. So I'm actually very grateful and appreciative of my parents because they were actually very lenient to me and didn't really expect me to earn good grades and be a doctor or anything like that. And I guess when you put your life into that different perspective, it really shows what your like what you have and what you're comparing yourself to, like another person's life. And yeah, it shows like, what you think you're lacking, but you actually have like everything that you need.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the times when we're comparing our lives to other people's lives, we we go into the habit of saying to ourselves, the story we tell ourselves are is basically we don't have enough because they have more. But in reality, we actually have a pretty good and decent life. We have food to eat. We got a roof all over our heads. We're making money. Maybe not a lot of money, but it's enough money, and we're surviving. Right. That's all it really matters.
Yeah.
Also, we have our own individual lives. We have our own individual communities that we're part of. We have our own individual skills that we created for ourselves that no one knows. No one knows that what it took to get to that level of skills.
Yeah. Because of our circumstances, the parents that we had growing up. Yeah, that all comes from everything that was built up in our lives.
It's our own story. Or it's our story. It's our own individual, personal story that make us who we are today. So the truth is, no one knows the real story behind those highlight reels. No one really knows what the other parts of the story are, like what it took for someone to succeed, the sacrifices, long nights, lost sleep, depression, anxieties. And I was thinking about how a celebrity lives their lives. If you're a celebrity, like you're famous as fuck,
Probably looks glamorous on the outside, but
yeah, like you're
what actually goes on?
guarantee your life is on a schedule every single day. Everything is planned out. Everything is like you don't have freedom. You're like locked into the schedule of interviews, events, rehearsals. Do you really want to live that type of life?
Yeah,
That
that
ki-
probably takes a toll on their mental health too. Like, right? A lot of them get like drug addiction, like suicidal tendencies and stuff like that.
and just relational issues, right? With their partners, abuse, and like you said, there's quite a lot of them that killed themselves
Yeah.
because of what they were going through with all the unresolved issues that they were going through, and it probably stemmed from the hectic life they had, just not being able to really have any time for themselves, or just to go out and just eat a freaking burger, yeah,
Yeah.
right? Like there's probably gonna be paparazzi all around just trying to like take a photo of them.
Yeah, that would suck. No sense of privacy.
Do you really want that kind of life? But so let's do a little mindful reframing here.
Yeah, when you find yourself comparing your life with others, think of it this way. You can't just want the good things in their lives. You need to take all the parts that got them there. You don't know the full story of what brought them success to one aspect of their life. So think of it as think of your life as a gift. Take the good and the bad. It's all what makes you you.
All right, let's just end it right there.
If you really enjoyed this podcast episode, be sure to give us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts as well as Spotify. Check out our Instagram page too, as we post little snippets of our podcast episodes. If you're watching this on YouTube, give us a like as well as subscribe to our YouTube channel. This is your new SideQuest podcast.
Side quest complete.